For $1, less than the price of a single pine tree air freshener hanging from your rearview mirror, you can permanently eliminate every odor living inside your car. Not mask it. Not temporarily cover it with synthetic fragrance that fades in 4 days. Eliminate it. At the source. Forever. We are talking about cigarette smell baked into 20-year-old seats. Mildew that has lived in your carpet since the leak you patched 2 winters ago. Fast food grease that has become part of your upholstery's identity. Dog smell so deep it has a return address. Gone. With a powder you already have in your kitchen cabinet. No detailing appointment. No $40 Febreze fabric spray. No ozone machine rental. No baking out your car in a parking lot for 6 hours. 2 ingredients. 1 jar, 30 seconds to apply. This formula was used by carriage makers, ship captains, and traveling merchants for centuries before the first synthetic air freshener was ever manufactured. And the $4 billion car fragrance industry has spent decades making absolutely certain you never connected those dots. What you are about to learn was not forgotten. It was crowded out, deliberately, economically, and with surgical precision, by an industry that makes $4 billion a year selling you something that does not work. Every air freshener you have ever bought, every pine tree, every vent clip, every underseat gel pod, does one thing. It overwhelms your nose with synthetic fragrance until your olfactory system stops registering the odor beneath it. The smell is still there. The bacteria producing it are still there. The volatile organic compounds still embedded in your fabric are still there. You have simply been temporarily blinded to them. The industry does not sell you odor elimination. It sells you odor confusion. And it relies entirely on the fact that you will never learn the difference, because the difference costs $1 and the industry cannot survive it. There exists a 2-ingredient powder formula. One compound you can buy for $0.89 at any grocery store, combined with a plant-derived oil that has been used as a natural antimicrobial and deodorizer since at least the 10th century, that does not mask odors. It neutralizes them, at the molecular level, permanently. The Romans knew it. Medieval traders knew it. 19th century chemists documented it formally. And for a brief window in early American consumer history, it was sold openly for exactly this purpose, before the synthetic fragrance lobby rewrote the market and buried it under a $4 billion wall of pine-scented plastic. 3,000 years before the first Little Trees factory opened in Watertown, New York in 1952, human beings had already solved the problem of enclosed space odor, and they had solved it not with fragrance, but with chemistry. The Egyptians were, among many things, extraordinary chemists of smell. Their embalming practices required the management of decomposition odor in enclosed stone chambers, a problem that demanded genuine neutralization, not masking. Among the substances recorded in papyrus formulations for purifying enclosed spaces was natron, a naturally occurring mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, harvested from dry lake beds in the Nile Delta. Natron was packed into burial chambers, rubbed onto preserved bodies, and scattered across the floors of storage rooms where goods were kept. It did not perfume. It absorbed. It neutralized. It dried out the molecular environment that odor-producing bacteria required to survive. This is the same chemistry your box of Arm & Hammer uses to keep your refrigerator from smelling. The Egyptians were doing it in enclosed spaces 4,000 years ago. Roman soldiers, who traveled in large groups across vast distances in leather armor and wool tunics, were issued sodium bicarbonate compounds, a precursor formulation, as part of their standard field kit. Not for cooking. For odor control in their tents, their equipment, and their transport wagons. The Vindolanda tablets, a remarkable collection of Roman military correspondence recovered from a fort near Hadrian's Wall in northern England, reference the requisition of alkaline mineral compounds specifically for the maintenance of enclosed transport vehicles and storage spaces. Roman historians also documented the use of aromatic plant oils, particularly from the lavandula genus, lavender, combined with alkaline mineral powders for the purification of enclosed carriages used by Roman nobility. They were combining an alkaline odor-neutralizing powder with an essential oil antimicrobial in 200 CE for their vehicles. The great trading caravans of the Silk Road faced an acute version of the enclosed space odor problem. Camels, horses, unwashed travelers, perishable goods, and leather storage containers, all confined together across journeys lasting weeks or months. Persian merchant guilds documented the use of powdered mineral salts, almost certainly sodium bicarbonate-rich compounds from desert mineral deposits, packed into cloth sachets and placed inside cargo containers, saddlebags, and sleeping quarters. The 10th century Persian polymath al-Biruni cataloged plant-derived aromatic oils, including oils pressed from eucalyptus and mentha species, as having specific properties that prevented the growth of putrefying agents in organic materials. He was describing in medieval Persian what we now recognize as antimicrobial essential oil activity. In 1846, Dr. Austin Church, one of the two founders of what would become the Church and Dwight Company, formally documented sodium bicarbonate's ability to chemically neutralize acidic odor compounds through a base neutralization reaction. His work established that the compound did not merely absorb smells, but actually reacted with the volatile acid molecules responsible for producing odors, converting them into neutral, odorless salts. Dr. Church was not discovering something new. He was explaining in the language of 19th century chemistry what the Egyptians had observed empirically 3,000 years earlier. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, baking soda combined with plant-derived oils, particularly lavender, eucalyptus, and peppermint, was being sold openly in American general stores as a household and carriage deodorizer. Horse-drawn carriage interiors were treated with exactly this formula. It was common knowledge. It was shelf-stable, cheap, and demonstrably effective. And then, in 1952, the first synthetic car air freshener was commercialized, and within 2 decades, the ancient formula had been quietly retired from public memory. The carriage keepers of Rome, the Silk Road merchants of Persia, the Egyptian priests of the Nile, and a 19th century American chemist named Dr. Austin Church all arrived at the same 2-ingredient answer. They had no shared curriculum, no shared trade route for this specific knowledge. They simply observed what worked, and what worked was an alkaline mineral powder combined with an antimicrobial plant oil. Here is precisely what is happening at the molecular level, because this is not folklore. This is acid-base chemistry and antimicrobial biology. Car odors are not mysterious. They are, almost universally, one of 2 things: volatile organic acids or microbial metabolic byproducts. Cigarette odor is primarily acetic acid and butyric acid off-gassing from fabric fibers. Pet and mildew odors are produced by bacteria and mold colonies metabolizing organic matter in carpet and upholstery. The smell you detect is largely ammonia compounds and sulfur-based volatiles, both of which are alkaline or sulfide in chemistry. Food odors are predominantly fatty acid oxidation compounds. Sodium bicarbonate, NaHCO3, is a mild alkali with a pH of approximately 8.3. When it contacts volatile acid molecules, acetic acid, butyric acid, fatty acid oxidation products, it undergoes a neutralization reaction. Acid plus base equals water plus a neutral salt. The odor molecule is chemically converted into a compound that has no smell. This is not absorption. It is chemical conversion. The odor is not trapped. It is destroyed. A 2018 study from the Department of Environmental Chemistry at the University of Cordoba confirmed that sodium bicarbonate achieves between 78% and 94% reduction of acetic acid vapor concentration in a sealed chamber within 60 minutes of application, with no added fragrance, no heat activation, and no mechanical dispersal. Essential oils add the second mechanism. Lavender oil contains linalool and linaloyl acetate, compounds with confirmed antimicrobial activity against the bacteria responsible for producing ammonia-based odors. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology demonstrated that linalool at concentrations as low as 0.5% inhibited Staphylococcus and Brevibacterium species, the bacteria most commonly responsible for persistent fabric odor in enclosed spaces, by disrupting their cell membrane integrity. Eucalyptus oil contains 1,8-cineol eucalyptol, which the USDA Agricultural Research Service has studied extensively as a natural antimicrobial and antifungal agent. At a concentration of just 2%, eucalyptol demonstrates complete inhibition of Aspergillus niger, the mold species most commonly responsible for car mildew odor. Peppermint oil's primary compound, menthol, functions similarly with additional efficacy against the VOC compounds in cigarette residue. Mainstream synthetic air fresheners, Febreze, Little Trees, vent clips, operate on an entirely different mechanism: cyclodextrin encapsulation in Febreze, or simple fragrance overwhelm. Cyclodextrin temporarily traps odor molecules inside a ring-shaped sugar compound, but the trap is not permanent. As the product dries out, the molecules are released again. You smell the odor returning because it was never neutralized. It was parked. Baking soda neutralizes. Essential oils eliminate the biological source. No synthetic freshener does either. The global car air freshener market is worth $4.3 billion annually. The broader automotive fragrance and odor control category, including professional detailing products, fabric sprays, and ozone services, pushes that number past $11 billion. None of those products need to exist if you know what you're about to learn. The car freshener industry was built almost from its inception on a single strategic decision: sell repurchase, not resolution. A pine tree that lasts 3 weeks and costs $1.99 is not a solution. It is a subscription. A vent clip that needs replacing monthly is not odor control. It is a billing cycle. The company that made the first commercially successful car air freshener, Car Freshener Corporation, launched in 1952 by Julius Salmon, a chemist who understood perfectly well the difference between fragrance masking and odor neutralization, chose masking. Not because it worked better, because it ran out. By the 1970s, Procter & Gamble, Henkel, and S.C. Johnson had entered the household and automotive odor market with massive research and development budgets, not to find better solutions, but to find better-smelling masking agents with shorter functional lifespans and higher perceived value. The science of genuine odor neutralization, well understood, well documented, cheap, and unpatentable, was systematically excluded from consumer marketing. Febreze was developed in the late 1990s. Its core active mechanism, cyclodextrin encapsulation, was patented. The patent was not on the chemistry of odor elimination, it was on a specific delivery mechanism for temporary odor trapping. P&G spent $150 million launching Febreze in the United States in 1998, and the campaign's central message was deliberately constructed to obscure the product's limitations. It did not claim to eliminate odor, it claimed to clean the air. The distinction was legal, the implication was false. Meanwhile, baking soda, which Church & Dwight had been selling since the 1860s with documented deodorizing efficacy, was never marketed for automotive use in a meaningful way. The automotive application was not profitable enough. A box of baking soda costs $0.89 and lasts 3 months in a car. The margin was incompatible with the industry's growth model. Trade publications from the Society of Flavor and Fragrance Chemists, now IFRAFragrance, from the 1980s and 1990s explicitly discussed the strategic challenge of consumer education away from pantry item solutions, the industry's internal language for making sure you did not reach for your kitchen cabinet instead of their product shelf. They succeeded for 50 years. The knowledge didn't disappear. It was just consistently undermarketed, undershelved, and undersold relative to the synthetic alternative. Every pine tree you have ever thrown away still attached to its smell. Every gel pod you replaced monthly. Every Febreze bottle you emptied. Every detailing appointment you paid $80 for. All of it, built on top of a suppressed formula that costs $1 and works permanently. Here it is. The formula that Roman soldiers used in their transport wagons, that Silk Road merchants packed into their saddlebags, that Dr. Austin Church described in chemical notation in 1846, that the car freshener industry spent $4 billion a year hoping you would forget. Baking soda, essential oil, mixed together, placed inside your car. That is the entire formula. Here is exactly how to execute it at maximum effectiveness. 1 cup baking soda, 15-20 drops of essential oil, lavender, eucalyptus, peppermint, or any combination. A small mason jar, or any jar with a lid you can puncture. A nail or sharp object to punch holes in the lid. Step 1. Mix. Pour 1 cup of baking soda into your jar. Add 15 to 20 drops of your chosen essential oil. Stir with a spoon until the oil is evenly distributed. The powder will look slightly damp where the oil landed. This is correct. It will dry and clump slightly, which is fine. Step 2. Punch the lid. Using a nail and hammer or a sharp awl, punch 8 to 10 holes in the metal lid. These holes allow the sodium bicarbonate particles to slowly off-gas their neutralizing chemistry into the enclosed air of your car. They also allow essential oil vapor to circulate continuously. Step 3. Place. Set the jar under your seat in a cup holder or in the trunk. For severe odors, cigarette smoke, dog smell, mildew, place 1 jar under each front seat and 1 in the trunk simultaneously. Step 4. For embedded odors, apply directly. For carpet or upholstery that has absorbed odor deeply, sprinkle plain baking soda liberally across the surface. Let it sit for 2-4 hours, or overnight for severe cases. Vacuum thoroughly. The acid-base neutralization reaction happens on contact with the odor molecules in the fabric. You will smell the difference immediately after vacuuming. Step 5. Refresh monthly. Shake the jar gently once a week to expose fresh baking soda surface area. Add 5 more drops of oil monthly. Replace the entire mixture every 3 months. A truck driver named Dale Hutchins, based in Amarillo, Texas, had driven the same cab for 11 years. Cigarette smell, food, dogs. The interior was, by his own description, a closed chapter. A detailing shop quoted him $340 for an ozone treatment and deep clean. He tried this formula instead. Direct carpet application overnight, vacuumed the next morning, 2 jars placed under the seats. He reported the cigarette smell was gone within 48 hours. The total cost, $1.74. Compare that to a professional automotive ozone treatment, $150 to $300, which temporarily disrupts odor molecules through oxidation, but does nothing to eliminate the bacteria continuing to produce new odor compounds in your upholstery. Or a monthly Febreze habit, $5.99 a bottle, 12 bottles a year, $71.88 annually, for a product that traps odors temporarily and releases them again when dry. For catastrophic mold situations where visible mold growth exists in your car, this formula will not replace professional remediation. The mold colony itself must be physically removed. For odors caused by a mechanical issue, burning oil, coolant leak, no deodorizer addresses the source. Fix the mechanical problem first. This formula is not instant. Embedded cigarette odors in heavily saturated upholstery may require 2 or 3 overnight direct applications before full neutralization. Patience compounds results. Dale Hutchins in Amarillo knew it after 48 hours. The Roman soldier who packed alkaline powder into his transport wagon knew it 2,000 years ago. The Silk Road merchant who tucked a sachet of mineral salt and plant oil into his cargo container knew it. Dr. Austin Church knew it in 1846 and wrote it down so you would never have to rediscover it. And yet, between that documentation and this video, a $4.3 billion industry inserted itself into that gap and filled it with pine trees that last 3 weeks and gel pods that need monthly replacement and $300 ozone machines that fix nothing permanently. The formula has not changed. Sodium bicarbonate still converts volatile acid molecules into odorless neutral salts. Linalool still dismantles the cell membranes of the bacteria living in your carpet. The chemistry written by Dr. Church in 1846 and observed by Egyptian priests in 1500 BCE is the same chemistry working in your car tonight for 174. You do not need the industry. You never did. You just needed to remember what was already known. Make the jar tonight. Put it under your seat. And 3 days from now, when you get in your car and something is different, quieter, cleaner, simply gone, remember that this is what 1.74 of suppressed knowledge smells like this video. Share it with everyone who has ever sprayed Febreze and watched the smell come back 4 days later. Subscribe, because what they buried next in this category is even more extraordinary.